as I'm sure you're aware, it's Mental Health Awareness Week this week. You recently did something quite special for a Portsmouth fan called George, who last week sadly tried to take his own life. For those of us that don't know the story, can you just share with us what happened there?
I was just at home and I got a message through to my phone from on my Twitter account. It was someone trying to spread the word that George had put a message on the internet about trying to take his own life. Immediately, obviously, it concerned me because it was brought to my attention, and I thought if there was any way that I could sort of help and intervene, it would be helpful, because there's enough people losing their lives at the moment. You don't need people with mental health issues as well taking themselves to the edge. So I messaged George. I replied to the message and said if anyone, George's friends or family could let me know that George is okay, or try to get in contact with him as soon as you can, because obviously he's from Portsmouth, he's a Portsmouth fan, and obviously playing for them, I was hopefully able to raise enough awareness in a shorter space of time than possibly the person that actually sent me the message could do. Later on that evening, I got a message through George's Twitter account, but it was his mum. Said that George was okay, that he'd been taken to hospital, and that he'd be staying in overnight and being monitored and stuff. And I sort of said to her, and I said in my first tweet that if and when George is up to it, if he wants to have a chat with me and get some things off his chest, and to share sort of some of his problems that he may have, I said I'm here to listen and I'm here to help in any way that I can. And so George was let out of hospital the next day, and he went home, and he felt well enough to speak to me on the phone. So I gave him a phone call, and we was on the phone for sort of 45 minutes, an hour, and I sort of said to George, I said, look, I'm not trained in this, but I want to help you in any way that I can, and if it's just by listening, I just want you to tell me what sort of what's taking you to this point. And he opened up to me and told me a lot of things that has happened, and which had taken him to that point. And then I sort of just told him a few bits about myself as well, which times where I've felt anxious, or I felt upset in the past, and how I've challenged that and how I've changed that, turning positive energy into, negative energy into positive energy, and just little tips that I do to keep me sharp in my head and keep me feeling happy and well about myself. And he's taken a lot of it on board. He's done really well. I've spoke to him every day since, and he's in a lot better place than he was this time last week. And he spoke on the radio, he's done bits in the newspaper, so he's opening up to more and more people. And as he said to me, it just feels like by talking more, it's the massive weight has been taken off his shoulders. And I sort of can't reiterate the point of a problem shared is a problem halved, and by just opening up and speaking to someone and telling them how you feel, it can help a lot. And one of George's things was, as a man, he feels like he couldn't show weakness, he couldn't show emotion, and he was meant to be macho and not allowed to be upset. And as men, a lot of men do feel like that. But as I say, by him opening up, he feels so much better about himself, and he's now gone to a point where a week ago he couldn't really help himself, and now he's helping other people, and he's been able to change it around massively. And he'll be able to move on with his life, hopefully positively, and this be a memory that he thinks about and thinks, I can't believe I was so close to doing it. And he's going to hopefully change his own life and change a lot of people's lives around him, because by opening up and talking, it's helped him. And then I believe now he'll be moving on to being a listener and listening to people's problems and helping them people. And hopefully it can be a snowball effect, because, as I said, the more you talk, the more you open up, I feel you'll be better within yourself, and your pressures won't feel as much on your own self.
Just want to go back to something that you said a moment ago. I'm almost certain that you'll say that you only did what anyone else would have done, but the fact is, many people will have seen the tweets from George and maybe not known what to do or how to help, so they might have done nothing. The fact is, that you didn't. You took the time to get in touch with him. What was it that motivated you to do that? Because, as you said, you know you're not a trained professional in mental health, but something clearly triggered in you to say, I've got to do something.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. It was the fact that I saw it. I couldn't not act upon it. If I looked the next day and I'd seen that George had taken his own life later on that evening, and I'd seen it and not acted upon it, it would have been tough for me to think what more could I have done. And at the time, I just felt like, you know, he even said himself, he was, you know, he tried to take an overdose and his phone was going off and he couldn't even respond to his phone. But when I replied, I was hoping somehow, some way that he, you know, hadn't have gone to that point yet, and that he would have seen it and it would have maybe triggered something to change his mind. And luckily enough, you know, I can speak to George now, and but it might not have been that way, you know. And if I didn't do it and something had happened to him, I would have felt a bit of pain within inside me that I didn't act upon it. So I sort of just went with how I felt at the time. And, you know, if I hadn't seen it or it hadn't been brought to my attention, it wouldn't have been the same sort of feelings. But because I'd seen it, I'd known that I had to act upon it. And I'm glad that I have. As I say, I think a lot of people possibly would have, you know, the amount of response and positive feedback he's had. And obviously a lot of people were sort of commenting about when that sort of message came out, and loads of people have been messaging him. He's been telling me he's had sort of 600-700 messages coming through and he can't even read them all. And he's saying, I've had so much positive feedback afterwards. And he was like, I just can't believe I was trying to take my own life. And that's why I sort of said to him, I said, there's so many people that will just listen. And that's the main thing, is when you are in a position where you feel like the world's on top of your shoulders, sometimes all you need is just an ear to listen to what you want to say instead of bottling it up. George used a great phrase. When he went and saw a counsellor before all of this had happened, he said, you know, your emotions are sometimes like a bottle. If you keep shaking it and shaking it, a Coke bottle inside, it's just going to keep fizzing up, and then eventually when you open it, it's all just going to explode out at once. And he said, so if you've got them emotions inside and they're still shaking you up every day, eventually it's all just going to come out at once, and it's going to, you know, the outcome would possibly be a lot worse than if you know, shook it up and then opened it a little bit and let someone listen to your problem. And that stuck with me a little bit when he said that, because it makes so much sense and it's such a great way to explain it. And as I say, just by talking and letting people listen will help so many people. And I don't want people to feel embarrassed, because you shouldn't feel embarrassed if you've got issues. As I said, every single person in the world's got some sort of problem that they wish they didn't have. So that if for anyone that's listening, if you've got a problem, don't feel embarrassed by it, no matter how big or how small it is. You know, it could be anything. You can open up, you can talk to people. There is people that will listen. There is people that will help you. There is people that will give you advice. And you don't have to be in it alone, because there's so many people that have been through this already that are now trying to help people that are in bad situations. And the best you can do is open up and be honest and let them emotions out, because there is people that will help.
And does it just go to show really that you don't always have to have the answers? Just offering someone that chance to talk and for you to offer, you know, an ear to listen. You don't have to have the right answers, do you? It's just about talking.
Yeah, exactly. As I said, I'm not trained in this field whatsoever. And my idea of just having a phone call with George was that to George, you know, I'm the team he supports, one of their players, and I may make a small difference, I may make a big difference. I've ended up making quite a big difference, which I didn't expect. But, you know, it could have just been, oh, I'm going to speak to John on the phone, you know, and to George, that's obviously helped him. But for other people who aren't professional athletes or who aren't, you know, just to be able to speak to anyone will help you so much. And just I can't just keep saying it enough. I could just feel like I'm repeating myself, but just by speaking up and being honest with your feelings will help you so much. And there's so many people that can help.
It's clearly quite a tough time at the moment. A lot of people are struggling with changes in their day-to-day life. So many people in particular are missing things like the football that they're so passionate about. What advice would you give to someone out there who might be struggling at the moment?
Yeah, as you said, a lot of people, you know, use, you know, football as their release on the weekend, or going to the gym, or seeing their friends and going to the pub, or whatever it may be. A lot of people have different types of ways to release their energy, sort of thing. But I'd sort of just say, find something that keeps you happy. Find something that keeps you busy. You know, you may live by yourself, or you may live with family, whatever it may be. Find time for yourself, invest time in yourself, whether it's reading, whether it's just going out for a walk, whether it's starting a new hobby. This is a time where everything is so up in the air and uncertain at the moment, where unfortunately a lot of people will either be not working or will be furloughed or whatever their position may be. Use this time, I'd say, to invest some time in yourself, and learn more about yourself, because at the end of the day, you are the one that control what you want to do. And people will find it in different ways. As I say, some people might want to read or look at a new business venture or whatever they may want to do. And you've got some people that may never get off the sofa and have never done a run before and want to start running. Whatever it is, set yourself a new challenge and learn more about yourself and see how far you can push yourself, because it will make you very strong, not only physically but mentally.